right, well, thank you for joining us. So it looks like we're ready to go. Again, my name is Chris Faria. I'm the executive editor of Tribal Gaming and Hospitality magazine. Welcome to Prospera, the Technology for the Future of Safe Casinos webinar. At this time, I'd like to introduce and give a warm welcome to the Prospera Health and Hospitality Services President, Kevin Kilkeary Jr. Hey, Kevin, welcome to TG&H on Air.
Hey, Chris, how are you? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you as well. What timing for this webinar? I hate to say this, but everything that's happening right now, people are still trying to figure things out. So I think it's perfect timing. So thank you. And I'm going to give the floor over to you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. I just want to quickly give you a quick little piece about Prospera Health and Hospitality, our company here. Basically, what we're doing is, we're taking technology that's been around for a long time and sort of putting it to use in the hospitality and hotel casino environment. What we're trying to do is grab all the UV technology and robotics and sort of group them together in a one-stop shop type of atmosphere where we do all the due diligence on the companies and sort of we know hotels well as Prospera and it's part of who we are and know how they operate. So we've gotten these products together for hotel owners, casino owners, so that they could sort of protect their staff, protect themselves in this environment that we live in. Next slide, Kenzie. The next slide's a polling question that I think Michael will send out. Next slide, Kenzie. Okay.
So everybody can see the polling question up there. Thank you for participating.
Okay, the next, or one of the items that sort of pertain to that question there is what's called the maitre d'. This item is being rolled out right now in California kitchens. It's a very interesting item, and the company they're pretty good, great company from a service standpoint. So they essentially come into restaurants and venues, and they one second, sorry about that. What they do is they'll come in, they map out the entire space, and then these robots actually autonomously go around. So you basically say to the robot, table 302, it'll bring food out to 302, and then the waiter or server who was there will distribute the food, send it back to the kitchen, and it picks up food and brings it back out. So a little bit of training on the front end of it, but it really does a lot of the running work in the environments that we're in now. Again, these things work for 10 to 14 hours a charge, and very interesting, pretty awesome to look at too. I actually went and saw some demonstrations on them, and we're actually putting them in a couple restaurants up here where I live in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. Next slide, please. So to the hotel environment. There's basically the front of the house, back of the house. We know about those type things. This group, their robots are interesting as they're totally autonomous. So they map out a lot of AI technologies to them, where they operate elevators, they operate doors, and this is total back. This one here is the back of the house, so it does a lot of running of goods up the floors in banquet areas. It does all kind of running. It's very interesting. And again, the reason why I really picked this company here is they are absolutely unequivocally service oriented to an amazing degree, and they really figured this stuff out. When you see these things live and in color, you probably, if you've been to any hospitals, you'd see a lot of these in hospitals, but they have a hospitality portion to their company now, and they're incredible. The work that they do is constant, and it's constantly moving back and forth. It's mind blowing. Actually, it's pretty interesting. Next slide, please. So that the one that I previously showed you is the back of the house. This one here, this is, I believe, the T4, will actually deliver food, deliver, towels, pillows, whatever the customer or the guests need in the hotel environment. These things do a lot of running around. You notice the doors on front of them where they lock. So when you're down in the kitchen and you send this room service waiter, if you will, up to the rooms, you hit room 453. It goes to the elevator, goes up to room 453. On the way to the room, it'll text or depending on whether or not the person gave his phone number, or call the room that the guest is in. Mr. Robot's tug is about to be at your door for your delivery. It opens up the door. The little trays come out and they take their food, and it leaves. It says, have a nice day, that type thing. But pretty interesting. But what you notice is that as these robot companies are coming about, they're doing a good job with presentation and the way it looks. You see a lot of hoteliers, a lot of casino owners, they spend an exorbitant amount of money on interior design. And that's one thing that when I collaborate and chat with these different manufacturers, that's one of the big points that I press, is it has to look pretty decent. So that's the Tug 4 right there. Next slide, please.
Hey, yeah, Kevin, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Would that piece of equipment eliminate a houseman position from bringing clean linen up to the guest rooms and taking dirty linens down to the laundry?
Eliminate, I don't know, but I think anyone who's running around in business today, via hotel, via I'm sure it's the same in the casino world, the restaurant world. You can't find employees, and it's very hard to be fully staffed. I think it's more coming up with new operation models where, you figure if you spend X number of dollars on a robot, well, that robot then is not costing you insurance. It's it doesn't take breaks. It doesn't do those things. It's just constantly working. So your operation and your efficiencies go up. But I look at these devices as more of assistance to the staff that we have. So no one really likes the idea of the mundane task of running clean linen back and forth, clean and dirty linen back and forth, or bringing up shampoos, bringing up things that the housekeepers need. This thing does this autonomously, where it actually helps the housekeepers out dramatically. And to this to this slide that we have right here, and I explained this a little bit earlier. This vacuum cleaner slash mopping slash UV sweeper that this Dusty is absolutely unequivocally amazing. It does all the different things. So it maps out, standard guest rooms, 320 to 380 square feet. And you can see it does 30,000 square feet on a single charge. So this device will basically travel behind the housekeeper. So if it took a housekeeper 3 to 5 minutes to get the room vacuumed at the end of her cleaning, you're saving an extraordinary amount of time. And so if you have a housekeeper who can do 16 rooms per shift, they might be doing 25 rooms per shift, and they're not hurting themselves. And this thing actually follows them right along. It's absolutely amazing. But to sort of, what we were about in our theme, if you look at this Dusty, it has UV on the bottom of it. So as it's vacuuming, it's actually disinfecting too, which is pretty awesome. It's a great product. Next slide, please. And here's another polling question for you guys.
Kevin, I have another question from the audience. I think you said, but just let's confirm, does a housekeeping robot and the guest delivery robot operate the elevators on their own? They
do. It's autonomous. So essentially, we just installed one at a hotel near me. It's basically with this company, the robot company takes care of everything. They get a hold of your elevator company. It's really just a little device that they put in the motherboard of the elevator, and then these units or these robots literally communicate. It knows when it's coming. It'll call the elevator from whatever floor it's on down, and then it proceeds from there. It's absolutely, it's pretty interesting stuff. Great question. Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin, are you surprised by the answer to this poll about UV technology? Did you think it was going to be higher or about?
Can you put that back up? Sorry, my screen.
It said 92% said they are not using UV technology.
You know, surprised a little bit, yes, but I don't think that personally I'm doing a good enough job of getting out there and letting people know about the technology. And, you know, in the environment that we were just in prior to this Delta variant, if you will, you know, businesses are hurting, and it's hard to make any type of capital expenditure. So as we consult with folks, you know, we really talk about, listen, how many do you need? Okay, so we're in a 300 room hotel. You need 3 R0s, and I'll show you that here eventually in the presentation. So you need 3 of them. Well, how about we back that all the way up? We just get 1 of them, so that when you have an outbreak somewhere in the hotel, whether it be with your associates, very important, we take care of them, and your guests. So something happens. Well, if you have this unit, you can be 100% assured that you're killing the virus. You're killing a lot of different things. It's pretty awesome that we'll get into. But no, you know, I'm not surprised by that, Chris. I'm not. Next slide. Okay, and so you'll have to bear with me here as we walk through this. When we were thinking about this stuff, we thought about it from the beginning of a guest walking in or an associate walking in, from that point all the way till they get to the sanctuary that we call the room, right? This item right here is very interesting. We actually have one in our office. We sort of have protocol for people who come in. Absolutely incredible. You step on it, and if you notice in the left-hand corner of the screen, there's a red shoe and a green shoe. If the shoe's red, that means you're not standing on it properly. Very easy to operate. In 8 seconds, it literally kills everything on the bottom of your feet. And then when you guys, if you have any questions during the course of this, you'll see an info@prosperahealth.com. I have some customer service representatives who will fire off some answers to you. Or if there's anything you really want to look at in depth, please don't hesitate to send over an email or a chat. But this is a very, very interesting device. You know, you think about, okay, someone's walking in, let's start at their feet. And that's sort of how we were thinking about it. Next slide, please. Okay, so, and then there's the sanitizers, but how do we tell people what's going on, right? Well, then all of a sudden you look around, there's things stuck over the walls, people are laminating stuff, and you walk in, you're like, what am I looking at here? It's crazy. So I tried to find a company who condensed that. You know, it's a 21.5-inch monitor. It's not overly intrusive, not too big, but it's an easy way to give some instruction. You know, they have little dispenser on the bottom there, as well as some, you know, sanitizer and things like that. So I was just looking for something that was good looking. And again, going back to what I said about the environment, right? And how much people spend on interior design for the places that we go. You know, I wanted something that was neater, digital. You can program it to say whatever you want. It has all those capabilities. So that's sort of why we went with this item. Next slide, please. And then, so this is a very interesting item. We put these in a hotel in Austin where, so every terminal that you go up to in this lobby has what's called this UV clean on it. So essentially what this does, they have tons of different hookups for these things. And there's an easy hookup on a monitor. So what it'll do is it spreads about a 24-inch wide UV light down and kills the environment on a keyboard or you know, on a credit card processing machine, one of those things. It totally kills it after someone touches it. But these things have like sensors all over them to where if someone walks around, they immediately shut off. If they sense motion, they shut off. So it's off while you're using it, turns back on after you leave, and it kills things very, very quickly. But you know, there's very interesting things you don't think about. You know, Proximity put this out. It's a great product. So we sell this in a few of their other products, but very interesting and cost-effective way to really be disinfecting where people touch. Next
Right.
slide, please.
So you don't have to have somebody hovering there after each use, spraying it down.
Right. And then the chemicals, as we all know, right, the chemicals tend to have an odor. All of a sudden you can't tell, am I hitting number 1 or number 6, or what am I hitting on these buttons, because you've wiped them all off. So, but yeah, very, very interesting. And these things really have zero effect on what the light is hitting. It doesn't discolor, it doesn't do any of these things, all questions that we ask during the vetting process of picking our manufacturers. Next slide, please. Well, we went into development actually with this Safe Space is the name of this company they're actually out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here. We sort of said to these guys, okay, so someone comes in to a hotel, to a casino, how do we make sure what they're carrying in is clean? Or, what are we doing here from a UV perspective? So we got into this little development of this conveyor. It's interesting. Basically, you could set a golf bag in it, and it'll come on through to a purse or whatever. And it essentially, all it does is it's 360 light. So when it's going through, there's a UV light on the bottom, and then obviously UV lights all around. So anything on the exterior of the bag that might be carrying bacteria, germs, mold, COVID, whatever, it kills it. So when this thing, so you got their feet, you got their bags, anything that they're touching. So you see this protection process that we're trying to lay out. So this is just another item that we think is pretty interesting, and it's 100% effective. So, we've actually placed one of them, and seems to be going pretty well. Next slide, please. This is another item from Proximity. So this is another item that in a few of the hotels that we actually operate, but then on our side that we've sold to, we put these in all the suites and at the front desk. And basically it's called the Cube. It's a little UV box, if you will. Very simple to operate. You put your wallet, your keys, if you have an iPad mini, you put these things in there, and it disinfects them in 3 minutes. It's pretty awesome device. I actually have one at my home where the kids now, who are all back in school, they actually pull their masks off when they come in the house, because we have to wear masks to school again. They pull off their masks, they throw them in one at a time, or they all 4 of them throw them in there, and they turn it on, and it disinfects their masks. So great product, a real cost-effective product as well. Next slide, please. So, as we're getting to the room now, I was like, this alarm clock thing, I don't know who uses an alarm clock anymore. Quite honestly, I don't think anyone does, but they use their phone. What's an easy way to, first of all, it has a UV on the back of it, which you can sort of see with the pictures. There's a remote control on a phone. So it's sizable enough to fit a big remote in your cell phone. But the charging mechanism, I actually have one of these on my desk in my office. The charging mechanism is amazing. I have a case on my phone. It charges it right through there. Nice part about it is if you have, ear pods or anything else that you need to plug your watch in, there's 2 USBs right on the front. Very convenient, very condensed, comes in a couple of colors, but it's just a great device. And it really takes a lot of different things away and condenses them all real well. So we sold this unit to about 4 or 5 hotels, and you'll notice the number of where we're selling these things is low. We're a relatively new company. We only have about 20 sales representatives that are all in training, and we're moving things along right now. So, but the sales that we've had are incredible, and the responses we're getting is really good as well. Next slide, please. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Oh yeah, I was just, it looks like you have a lot of items that for UV disinfection for smaller, and are you going to get into larger space UV tools?
Great question. And yeah, right now, this ARC, it's considered the R0. Basically, this is a aesthetically very good looking, but the efficacies of this thing are absolutely incredible. When you're talking about disinfecting an area of 1,000 square feet, which is probably what would be the size of 3 guest rooms, right? In 7 minutes, it's an incredible product. This company I would say absolutely amazing group of people, relatively big company. They do a lot of selling. The items that they're coming out with are amazing. And the benefit to this company, not only is the technology amazing, it has sensors all over it. If anyone were to accidentally come in the room, it shuts itself off. I mean, it does a lot of those type things, as all this UV equipment does. But in interviewing a bunch of these different companies, I found this one to be absolutely top notch. And it had a lot to do with the kill times, because as we know, in hospitality, you got to get in and you got to get out, but you need it to do its job. And then the aesthetic look of it is amazing, and the technology. They more to come on this company, R0. They have a breadth of products, about 6 products that are absolutely amazing and look great. But next slide, please. And then obviously, you know, in bigger spaces, we needed to partner up with a company that has robotics, as we did at the top, but this is UV robotics, where, you know, these things basically, they're autonomous. So you set them technology wise from a computer, it knows to take off at 2 a.m. and it will disinfect an entire ballroom, you know, for a couple, 3-4 hours, however long it takes, go back, charge itself, and then go back out. But it knows where to be and where not to be. And it's basically all AI and autonomous actions that take place with these things are pretty amazing. And another company that I'm actually in negotiations with right now came out with a UV robot like this that I'll be getting out to a bunch of folks here shortly. That has what's called a 222 nanometer light bulb on it that is UV disinfectant, that is safe to be around humans. So these things literally could be running around disinfecting and not harming humans at all. So it's pretty awesome technology, and to watch this stuff grow has been pretty interesting. Next slide, please. Another polling question, and this one happens to be on mattresses and box spring encasements.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about UV technology, and you answered it with that new one that's coming out, because right now a person is not supposed to be in the room with UV. So in large public areas, it sounds like that new product is a solution that could be disinfecting while people are still around it. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, that's the interesting part about how these technologies are evolving in a world where, you know, people are concerned about viruses and concerned about different things, as we all are now. And you know, the technology's there. It's just interesting, and I'm pretty happy to be a part of it. And I like the idea of mitigating through it. You know, I was in medical for 17 years and been in hospitality now for about 7, I guess it would be now. So I'm sort of taking what I did in my past and sort of bringing it into the world of hospitality. So it's been pretty interesting. I see a lot of you guys are right on this polling question. Next slide, please. So in a lot of the things that I've, you know, done in this going through and looking through these different manufacturers, you know, we have a theme here, and it's about safety. It's about antiviral, about get rid of viruses and helping our folks feel comfortable. This company right here, it's absolutely amazing. You'll see some in the slides. You might not be able to see them real well, so we're going to send this out so you can really dive into them. But this antiviral, anti-bed bug, and, you know, waterproof, anti-allergen. The key factor for me was this Micron 1 technology, because, you know, you think about waterproof, right? When does someone put a plastic bag around a mattress, and then there's a sound, and, you know, to disrupt sleep, and in the hospitality world, what do we sell? We sell sleep. So this is a very, very, very interesting technology. It's almost silky by nature, and but it's waterproof. And the other big factor, next slide, please, is the is the anti-bed bug portion of this. I mean, we've seen them operated, and I've actually placed these in quite a few hotels. I think upwards of like 26 hotels now. The interesting part of this is how well this helps with the bed bug issues. No one likes to talk about bed bugs, but we know they're there. And depending on where you're geographically located, sometimes more or less. But the expenditures are amazing in how this has cut expenditures for hotels. And the next slide is actually a study that they've done. And again, that's probably a little bit hard to read. But if you look at the study and you look at through, you know, when the studies are done right and everyone does what they're supposed to, you look at these 10 hotels where there's basically when the encasements were installed, right? Number of rooms the hotel has, and then they were all basically done in 16 and 17. So when you look down this list, those that you know, installed in 15, 16, and 17, you can look at the numbers yourself. I don't have to keep reading them. But when you look at the savings, and anyone who operates, you know, a hotel, for instance, here, you know, that expenditure is extraordinary. And their data is real and it's proven. And, you know, I spent a lot of time with this group, and their technology is there because there's a bunch of encasements to pick from. There just are. I wanted something that was foolproof. And, you know, quite honestly, when you really dive into it, the expense of one of these versus the expense of a competitor that doesn't have antiviral or doesn't have, but, you know, anti-bed bug, they're the same price. You just get more out of this, and they back this product with a 10-year warranty. So if you think about it, you put these on in your hotels or wherever something goes wrong with it, they literally send you out a new one. It's pretty awesome. Another really, really good company. Next slide, please.
Hey, Kevin, before you move on, Ronaldo is going to unmute himself. He had a question about UV for you.
Sure.
Hey, Kevin. This
Hi,
is
how are you?
Ronaldo from Wind Creek, Montgomery.
How are
My
you?
question, you know, we've been given notice by AAA that they're up their inspection process, and
Yeah.
they now have specifically going to do use of special equipment, I guess similar to the TSA, when they're
Okay.
trying to figure out some gunpowder residue. They're going to
Okay.
wipe down all the touch points, the heavy touch point, remote, doorknobs and such.
Okay.
And the question I have is, are you, with your knowledge of the UV technology, using a UV wand, for instance, can that take the place of a spray disinfectant and wipe down on all those heavy touch points?
You know, that's a great question. And I've had that actually posed to me before. Can the wand work? Yes, it can. But there's the human aspect to it that is the wild card. And the reason why is if you don't hold that over there for the designated amount of time, because all bulbs aren't created equally, right? So whatever that bulb is on that hand wand, it'll tell you, you need to hold that over the doorknob for 120, I don't know, whatever, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. But if you don't do it and you wave it over there, well, it's not going to have the result that you want. And if you were to come in, you know, and these guys come in, AAA comes in and inspects you, that's a problem, because all of a sudden you think you did the right things and you were doing the right things. But if that person who was operating the wand didn't hold it there long enough, then that becomes your problem. A lot of the items that I sell sort of mitigate that from a standpoint of, it's a set it and forget it with the items that I have. So when you put this, say the art in a room, the light's going to touch the door handles and it's going to touch all the different places, but it's going to be 7 minutes. But then it's going to send you a report, which is pretty interesting technology that these items have. And that report is going to tell you, hey, arc number 1, if you had a few of them, arc number 1 was in room 302. It ran in the diagnosis, it's saying it ran properly for 7 minutes. This was the kill times, or this is what it would kill based on the time it ran. And you get a whole report that generates tidbits of information that are like that. Which I think in this case that you brought up, the AAA thing, well, then you could really show them that report and say, hey, listen, this is what we're doing here. And I would challenge you to go in and check out our doorknobs, and you'll see, or check out our surfaces, and our surfaces are clean. Thanks very much for the question. Great question. So
Thank
this
you.
next, you're welcome. Have talk to you soon. This electrostatic sprayer, I think probably everyone on the call has definitely seen. I've partnered with the company that put it in all the Marriotts, Everclean, and great product, and you can really do a lot of square footage with it. With this item, as well as all the items that you've seen, I'm able to get you everything for them. So we get you the tabs that go in there in this item. If you need a new nozzle for it after a while, we got those. And so all the products you see, we back up, from the light bulbs for the UV machines, and so on and so on and so on. So all those parts and pieces are with we have that you can probably find on the website. So when you look at the electrostatic sprayer, we all know what this is about. Very interesting technology, where if you were to be spraying, say, your phone, you spray it, it doesn't just hit here, it wraps itself around. It's electrically charged disinfectant. And it's all based on tabs, and it's like 100 or 1,000 millisomethings per whatever. We got all the data on that kind of stuff. But yeah, these things are excellent. They work, and these just sell. And I think it's for a lot of car dealerships that we've seen, some dispensaries that we've seen that are buying them for when people come in, because it's quick and it's not harmful at all in any manner. So yeah, electrostatic sprayers. You know, if you ever need any type of information, data, we have it all, and we can send it out to you. Next slide, please. Next, another polling question. It's on air purifiers, and the R0 that I had mentioned, or I showed you, shown you a few slides back. This is that company that I was telling you had a lot of different items coming out, and their air purification items are amazing, as well as the one is that I'm going to show you. I interviewed a lot of those, the air purifying companies, and the really, you know, I got personal issue there, but you know, if you take the worst case scenario, and that's where you start, you know, you end up getting a pretty good result here, and I think we got a good result with these folks, for sure. Next slide, please. So this molecule is this first one. I actually have one in our boardroom here, and I have one back in my office. So you'll notice with these, the side that if the littler ones are great for boardrooms, meeting space, and different space like that. And then the bigger guy, the Pro, is the one that we recommend for a lot of our hotels, for putting it into their workout facilities and gyms, because normally the gyms at a hotel are under 1,000 square feet. And this thing will kill and get rid of all the air in the different spaces. I mean, it gets rid of viruses, it gets rid of mold, bacteria, and ultimately it does kill large spaces. And in all the different air purifiers that you'll find on our site, they all do the same. This one's aesthetically very, very good looking, as you can see, unintrusive, but does a great job. The Pro, you actually work from your cell phone. Where it'll send you a little thing. It says, okay, your filter is at, you know, 70%. You got to wash it, that type thing. So, but interesting technology. They're great, and they work. Again, I have them here in our offices as well. Next slide, please. See, most of you guys got that one right. So all that said, all these items, and we have a lot more items as well. You know, it's hard to go over all of them, and I did move through that pretty quickly because I value your time and you guys all getting on. But any of these items, in the light of what's went on last year and what's still sort of going on in our industry of this slow ramp back up, I partnered with DLL. It's a big financial institution. They're worldwide, but I knew them. I knew them from my past life. These guys are awesome, and you know, they got great rates and different things. So if we ever needed to really get into the financing aspect of some of this capital equipment, we can get that done for you. Really easy process. John makes it, he's my direct contact. He makes the process very, very simple and clean. So next slide.
Yeah,
Well,
Kevin, before you move on, a couple of questions from folks. What type of person do you need on staff specifically for the robotic and programming of the machines to do all this? Have you?
Actually, interesting, a great question. You know, the idea that I had going into this and the idea after speaking with these robotics companies is very interesting. They can literally operate and diagnose the, when I say operate, they don't manually operate, but they can sort of, what's that called? CPN or VPN. They can literally VPN into any of these robots and fix if there's glitches or if there's something going on. They get data and reports. They're monitoring what they do and how they work. And quite honestly, any chief engineer or any of the hotels that we have, they can handle this stuff real easily. The training's awesome. You have a direct contact at all times with the actual manufacturer and us. I have a lot of, you know, our customers go through our customer service and then through me, and I'll handle anything that I got to do there as far as making sure things get rectified quick. But the robots are different because they're constantly being monitored. The service programs for them are amazing. They send I mean, I think for the maitre d', which is the one that delivers food to the tables in a restaurant, they send a representative by every 2 weeks to make sure it's cleaned properly and looks well, and then they just get out of your hair. And they run diagnostics on them at all times. But good question, and you do not have to hire anyone with any type of technical background, even though I think my 13-year-old son would probably really enjoy that job versus any other at this point.
Yeah, then we had another question as far as, do you have some charts or different information that you could send out as far as what is a ratio, just for example, of some of the in-room delivery of how many you really need to make an impact based on the square footage of your hotel, the number of rooms? Do you have some case studies on that? Is one going to make a difference? Do you really need to order 5 to make a difference?
That would, you know, good question. I will contact Greg, who is is a vice president of the one robot company that you're talking about, and I will talk to him in depth about that a little bit. I know they do have studies on different parts and pieces, and I know what his comments back to me is going to be on the number of units. It's really based on the size of the hotel. So if you have a 120 room hotel, that's one thing. If you have a 1,500 room hotel, that's a different thing.
Sure.
Impact wise on a select serve property, we have a littler unit through the company that sells the maitre d', where it just runs the little markets that they have in those hotels. It runs things back and forth, meaning, you know, someone calls down, they want a soda and a couple bags of chips, and also can you throw an extra pill on there? Well, there's a little guy that does that, and that's impactful because it's actually increased, and they show studies how it increases sales out of the markets. And you know, to that question there, that I'm definitely going to find the answer out to. And Chris, do you have the contact information of that person that you could send me?
Yes.
Excellent. You know, to the thought process behind that, over the last really 5 years. In the hotel and hospitality industry, what we've done is cut services out to drop our costs, right? I envision the robot portion of this for us as operators of hotels and so on, and casinos and whatnot, is to be able to bring services back via this. And I think the numbers will iron themselves out. And when people see this, I think, you know, they're gonna get it. It's when you're talking about a one-time expenditure versus a lot of the other expenses that come about in employees and really not being able to get employees at this point. These things make tons of sense. So great question.
Well, I know I like what you said earlier about it's not necessarily replacing folks. It's really a complement
It is.
to what they're doing. So it's all these people who are here with us today probably thinking about that is like, how can this help my current staff to do their jobs, not replace it, but help them do their jobs.
Right. Do them more efficiently, and actually it's almost, I liken it to having someone giving you a hand that's right there, taking less steps away. With the vacuum cleaners, it's all about, bending over and doing that type thing. I do, it's these things are amazing, and I look at them as someone helping out and assisting versus, taking an employee's job. And I really do. And I think a lot of owners are seeing it that way these days because they can't find anyone to help us out. And
Sure. And we do have a few more minutes left. I'd like to encourage people to ask some questions, but I know that you have other divisions of your company. Are there any other services that you would just like to talk a little bit about that would pertain to our tribal gaming and hospitality audience today?
Yeah, one of my counterparts here, his name is Dennis Rogers. I think he hopped on the call. Next slide, please. We have a division of our company that's like credit card processing and doing a few other things. But we've really over the last several months here gotten into a different aspect of it. The company we partnered up with is called NaturePay. Den, are you on?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Hey, can you speak a little bit to this NaturePay and give some high level thoughts on that for the folks?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, we really appreciate your time. I wanted to go over just a quick little slide about our NaturePay product. From what I did gather, you guys are in the cannabis business, I believe, and you would have dispensaries. Not sure if they're on site or around the country, but what we do is a cashless ATM EFT program. We are a current credit card processing company. We've been in the business for over 10 years now. We started with travel and entertainment, retail, B2B, your normal credit card processing opportunities. With the industry changing so drastically over the last, I'd say 4 years now, we've been able to maneuver ourselves into place to be a player in the cashless ATM EFT world. The company we did partner with is NaturePay. NaturePay by far is one of the best companies you can partner with, I believe, personally, not just because we partnered with them in the country. Just a quick overview about our terminals. They are made specifically for processing or ATM use at dispensaries. They run not just as a retail, taking a retail terminal and turning it into a terminal that you would use as a ATM machine at your dispensaries, but they are customer facing terminals at the point of sale. And from right there, you can run a ATM transaction, which is allowed. And that's the main way people have been able to achieve higher sales and everything with taking card over the last couple of years. We keep our banking inside the United States. We don't do any sort of overseas banking. We do next day funding, which is a huge upside for this industry. We did find out after working with a couple big clients now that there is a cutoff time of 12 o'clock that a lot of other companies utilize, and that's 12 p.m. And that's a midday cutoff. We have an end of day cutoff, which really helps reconciliation, and accountants love us for that purpose. They don't have to look at 2 different days and split up the sales and figure out what day was what. And we have, like I said, a 5-day turnaround. On the slide, it says 5-day turnaround to set up, easy setup process. Our terminals, I do have it handy. It's right here. It's a mobile. The benefit of these guys are they do stay stationary on your desk. They also, because of the pandemic, have come in very, very good hands of the critical ill and sick. And being able to go outside of the dispensaries or go meet your customer at a curb has become a very big thing. Not having as many bodies walking through your store also lessens the amount of foot traffic, which you would have an online order, you know, and then you would walk out with it to your patient, have them pay over the device, and it's Wi-Fi and cellular backup. So you never really have downtime, which is a big benefit to our product compared to others. If your internet goes down in your building, a lot of the older technologies just kaput. That's it. With us, it just never goes down.
Great. Thanks a lot, Dan. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you stepping in on it.
Yes,
All right,
absolutely. And if anyone's had any questions about that, my information is, we'll provide it, and anyone can call me anytime and we can discuss it more.
Great.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for either of these two gentlemen at this time? And if you think of something later, you could email me directly and I will get that to Kevin, or you could email Kevin directly. As I said before, you'll get a link to the recording of this that you could share with your team members. So Kevin, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing all this really cool information with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris, to you and the team. I really appreciate everything you guys did here. And anyone on the call, if there's anything you need, please info@prosperahealth.com, and I will be able to get anything and all information over to you. Thanks very much. And you guys have a wonderful day. God bless.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. And to our audience, again, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you at future TG&H webinars and interviews. Please, if you are not subscribed, go to tgnh.com and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any current information, any special events. We'd love to have you. So everyone, thank you, stay safe, and see you again.